Hi, we recap here. In the near future, the devastation of Earth's environment has led to a new ice age engulfing the planet, forcing humanity to take refuge underground. In one of the last remaining settlements, an alarm blares and frantic shouts echo through the halls before two terrified individuals sprint down a corridor. Something dangerous is chasing them. They reach a door, but tragically, it's locked, and their pursuer catches up, ending their lives. Meanwhile, in another settlement, Sam is outside repairing the satellite dishes when he notices a few men stepping out. One of them, who is ill, pleads for an extra day to recover, but Mason believes they've already wasted enough resources on him and prepares to execute him, ignoring the fact that the man is requesting the walk. Sam intervenes, reminding Mason that the sick have the right to choose between leaving on their own or being shot, and that their choice should be honored. However, Mason disregards this and kills the man anyway, justifying it as a necessary measure for survival. Upon returning inside, it's revealed that because these few survivors live in a confined space with scarce supplies, they fear even the common cold. The last flu outbreak took the lives of 20 people in under a week. That's when their leader, Briggs, enforced a new rule: anyone who falls ill is quarantined. If they don't recover, they must choose between a bullet or a long walk into the frozen wasteland. Rumors persist about a paradise where the climate is warm, but Sam remains skeptical. Sam seeks out Briggs to report Mason's violation of the rules. In the communications room, Cooper informs them they've received a repeating SOS from Colony 5, yet there's been no response to their attempts at contact. Briggs calls for an urgent meeting in 30 minutes while Sam visits Victor, who oversees the livestock. Unfortunately, Victor has grim news as well. The latest litter of rabbits was stillborn, and among the 12 remaining, only one female survives, but the others refuse to mate with her. Meanwhile, Briggs confronts Mason over his actions, but Mason stands by his decision, arguing that those who leave will inevitably return and take their food. Later, Sam visits his girlfriend Kai, who hands him some pellets for the rabbits while discussing her research. She believes that functional weather modification technology still exists, buried beneath the ice, and remains determined to locate it using their radar, refusing to give up hope. A short while later, the survivors gather for the meeting. Dexter quietly warns his wife not to cough, and as Sam passes by, he notices they seem unwell. He advises them to rest in their quarters, but Dexter insists they're fine. Briggs enters and informs the group of Colony 5's distress signal, announcing his plan to lead an expedition to investigate. Mason objects, arguing that they can't afford to spare resources or personnel in such harsh conditions, but his concerns are dismissed. Briggs then selects Dexter for the mission, but Sam steps in, offering to take his place so that Dexter can remain to oversee the turbines. Graydon also volunteers, despite his father Victor's protests. With the team assembled, Briggs entrusts Kai with leadership until their return. Suddenly, Dexter's wife sneezes, prompting those around them to cover their faces and step away in fear. The couple is immediately placed in quarantine, and Mason once again complains, suggesting they should be tested right away and claiming Kai isn't fit to lead. Briggs rebukes him, ordering that no decisions about the sick should be made until his return. Elsewhere, a young boy trudges through a blizzard, struggling against the fierce wind, until he stumbles upon the lifeless body of his mother. At that moment, Sam jolts awake, revealing it to be a nightmare about his mother's death. Kai comforts him, reminding him that it wasn't his fault. The following day, the team embarks on their journey, enduring long hours of walking through the freezing snow and relentless winds. After navigating through an abandoned city, they come across an old weather modification machine, but to their disappointment, it no longer functions. Later, they carefully make their way across a dilapidated bridge, which has deteriorated significantly over the years. Maneuvering around its gaps proves challenging, and Briggs narrowly avoids falling when a section crumbles beneath his feet. On the other side, they discover a car with a dead man lying beside it, a gun in his hand. Peering inside, they find the man's family lifeless in the vehicle and conclude that he took their lives before ending his own. After trekking through the snow for hours, the trio stumbles upon a crashed helicopter and takes shelter inside for the night. Graydon, having never seen an aircraft in flight, marvels at the concept. Briggs contacts their outpost for an update, and Cooper reports that Dexter and his wife's condition is worsening. Mason persists in demanding they be tested, so Briggs authorizes Cooper to use force if Mason becomes a threat. Later, Graydon discovers an old adult magazine, prompting teasing from the others over his fascination with it. Briggs then notes that they are near the place where he first found Sam, prompting Sam to share his past with Graydon. As a child, Sam and his family, along with other survivors, sought refuge in a mine. When their food ran out, they resorted to eating the dogs and horses. The next day, they finally reach Colony 5, only to be met with a grim sight. Blood stains mark the area outside the entrance. Upon entering, they detect the faint scent of smoke. Descending deeper inside, they find more blood, soon realizing that this is the same corridor from the beginning of the story. Colony 5 was supposed to house 50 people, yet no one is there to greet them, raising serious concern. Briggs hands Graydon a gun just in case, and the trio cautiously continues exploring, encountering signs of struggle and destruction in every corridor. Just as they begin to assume that everyone is dead, they hear a sound from behind a locked door. Sam picks the lock, and upon opening it, they find a man collapsed on the floor. The man, Leland, suddenly panics and begs for mercy. The trio assures him they mean no harm, and Leland hurriedly asks them to close the door again before accepting food and water. He explains that he's been trapped for days and isn't sure if anyone else has survived. Leland reveals that a few days ago, his colony repaired their antenna and received a transmission, which he now plays for the trio. On the screen, a man appears in a snow-free region, explaining that his group successfully reactivated a weather modification system, melting the permafrost and gaining access to fertile land. Their only remaining need is seeds. Unfortunately, the message is cut off before the full location is revealed. Sam asks Leland to mark the location on his map, and Briggs insists that Leland should come with them. However, Leland is too terrified to leave, revealing that he wasn't the one who made the noise they heard earlier. Gathering what supplies they can, the trio attempts to contact their outpost but receives no response. They prepare to leave, trying to persuade Leland to join them, but unsettling noises echo through the corridors, and Leland panics, locking himself back inside the room. The pair continues forward without Leland, and as they move deeper into the outpost, the unsettling sounds of banging and screaming grow louder. Eventually, they notice the flickering glow of torches ahead. As they cautiously approach, they come upon a horrific scene. Surrounded by the lifeless bodies of the colonists, a man is butchering a corpse while others feast on human flesh. Suddenly, the butcher pauses, sniffing the air before whipping around, ready to attack. Sam reacts instantly, firing his weapon and taking him down. The gunshot startles more cannibals, who begin emerging from the pile of bodies. Their leader lets out a blood-curdling scream, signaling the start of a relentless pursuit through the corridors. As they flee, Sam fires at the leader, grazing his ear, and manages to kill another attacker. Amid the chaos, Graydon accidentally strays from the group. He stumbles to a halt just in time to find himself surrounded by cannibals, who waste no time lunging at him. Briggs and Sam arrive moments later, fighting off the attackers and eliminating them one by one. However, when they turn their attention to Graydon, it's already too late, he's gone. With no time to mourn, Briggs and Sam press on. As they race up the stairs, Sam takes down another cannibal but runs out of ammunition. Thinking fast, Briggs demolishes part of the staircase to prevent the horde from following. Unfortunately, one of the attackers has already made it through, forcing Briggs into a brutal hand-to-hand struggle. After a fierce battle, he finally manages to shoot his opponent, sending him tumbling down. The remaining cannibals arrive just in time to witness what happened, and their leader howls in fury. Once outside, Briggs hurls dynamite into the entrance, causing an explosion that collapses the tower and seals off the colony. The two survivors trudge through the snow until they spot the downed helicopter again. With temperatures dropping rapidly, Briggs decides they'll take shelter in it for the night. As they sit inside, they reflect on what they just witnessed. Sam grapples with the horror of the cannibals, but Briggs somberly remarks that desperate people are capable of unthinkable acts to stay alive. At dawn, the duo discovers a terrifying sight: footprints in the snow, evidence that the cannibals have been tracking them. Sam fears they'll lead the monsters straight to their colony, but Briggs has a plan to stop them. They sprint toward the bridge, leaping across the gaps to reach the other side quickly. Once there, they set a lit stick of dynamite near the edge and take cover behind some fallen debris. However, the wind snuffs out the fuse. When Sam volunteers to relight it, Briggs knocks him aside and goes himself. The harsh wind makes it nearly impossible to use his lighter, but he persists. As the cannibals begin attempting to jump across, many fall to their deaths. Finally, Briggs succeeds in lighting the fuse. He deliberately engages the cannibals in combat, drawing them closer, just as the dynamite detonates in his hands. The explosion obliterates the bridge, taking Briggs and most of the cannibals with it. On the other side, a handful of survivors, including the leader, glare at Sam before he turns and runs. Meanwhile, Back at the outpost, Mason has taken Dexter and his wife outside, ignoring their desperate pleas for mercy. Without hesitation, he shoots the wife, and just as he prepares to execute Dexter, Kai intervenes, pointing a gun at him and ordering him to stop. Seizing the distraction, Dexter bolts, and Kai rushes to Sam's aid just as he collapses from exhaustion. Hours later, Sam regains consciousness inside the outpost, where he reluctantly delivers the devastating news of Graydon's death to Victor. Before he can process his grief, Mason enters and handcuffs Sam to the bed, announcing that leadership has changed and new rules are in place. Rations will be cut in half, immediate testing will be enforced for anyone showing signs of illness, and those who refuse to work will not be fed. Sam urgently recounts what happened at Colony 5, warning that the cannibals will come for them next. He pleads with Mason to consider leaving, revealing that he's seen evidence of a warm location where they could survive. But Mason scoffs at the idea and leaves, taking his followers with him. Just before exiting, a young boy sneaks over and discreetly slips Sam the key to his cuffs. Outside, Mason and Victor scan the horizon for any sign of an approaching threat. Sam wastes no time searching for Kai, eventually finding her restrained in another room. He frees her, then immediately turns to her computer, determined to verify the location from the mysterious message. At first, there's nothing, but after thorough scanning, the radar finally detects a warm zone, confirming the existence of a thawed region. Gathering as many seeds as they can carry, Sam and Kai rush to inform the others, but Mason and his men intercept them, reminding them who holds authority. Before the confrontation can escalate, a loud, thunderous banging echoes from outside. The group scrambles to the security monitors, and what they see fills them with dread. The cannibals have arrived. The leader steps forward, holding up Dexter's severed head as a warning before smashing the camera. Realizing the threat is real, Mason swiftly takes charge, issuing orders: all able-bodied individuals must be armed, while the rest of the colony will take refuge in the vault. As Cooper leads the non-combatants to safety and secures the door, the armed defenders position themselves in the corridors, awaiting the inevitable breach. Suddenly, the power flickers off. When the lights return, the entrance is ajar, but no one enters. Then, the sounds of movement echo from within the shelter. Without warning, a cannibal erupts from a vent and lunges at Cooper, who struggles to defend himself. Though the intruder knocks him down and rushes toward the vault, the colonists manage to seal the door in time. The armed group belatedly realizes the vents have been compromised, but by then, it's too late. Cannibals pour in, triggering a brutal battle. Despite killing many of them, the survivors are outnumbered, and for every fallen enemy, more seem to take their place. Sam and Kai make a run for it, while Victor, refusing to flee, engages the cannibal leader in a vicious struggle. Despite his resilience, Victor is ultimately overpowered and killed. Wounded, Mason stumbles into a secure room where a handful of survivors are hiding. Just as Sam and Kai arrive, he slams the door shut, locking them out. A colonist, unwilling to let them die, knocks Mason aside and lets the couple in. Unfortunately, a cannibal forces its way in as well. Acting fast, Kai shoots the intruder while the others rush to barricade the door. However, the remaining cannibals arrive and begin battering it down. Thinking quickly, Sam opens a vent and urges everyone to escape through it. Mason protests, arguing that they'll freeze to death outside and should stand their ground instead. Ignoring him, the survivors climb through, and just before following, Sam tosses Mason a gun. Within moments, the cannibals smash through the door and charge at Mason, who fires at a gas tank, triggering a massive explosion. The blast wipes out all the attackers except for their leader, who narrowly escapes by slipping into the vent. Their struggle weakens the vent, causing it to collapse beneath them, sending both tumbling into the livestock room. The brawl rages on as Sam desperately hurls whatever objects he can get his hands on at the cannibal. However, his opponent effortlessly overpowers him, delivering a relentless beating. After a few punishing blows, the cannibal flings Sam onto the ground and begins dragging him across the floor. Seizing the opportunity, Sam snatches a fallen knife and plunges it into the cannibal's leg. The man attempts to fight back, but this time, Sam gains the upper hand. Fueled by fury, he unleashes a brutal assault, pounding his enemy's face beyond recognition before ultimately severing his head at the mouth. As he turns to escape, he is met with a blazing corridor, blocking his path. Outside, Kai and the remaining survivors emerge from the vent, watching in horror as their home is consumed by flames. Moments later, Sam crawls out as well, declaring that they must find the warm refuge from the message. With no other choice, the group treks through the snow, clinging to the hope of discovering a new place to call home. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to subscribe, like, share with friends, and leave a comment. Your support helps the channel grow.